I appreciate you joining us today. I hope you're doing well. It is April 20th. Our reading today comes from the book of 2 Samuel, in 2 Samuel chapter 2. And if you're following along on the app or on the computer, there are quite a few readings for these next few days, kind of all over the place. They're from Samuel and they're from Chronicles. There's a few from Psalms in there, but it goes back and forth a good bit. And a lot of that pertains to David's family, to David's mighty men, if you're reading through all those. For today, we're just going to look in 2 Samuel chapter 2. In 2 Samuel chapter 2, yesterday we spoke about the death of Saul, and when David hears the news, he weeps for him. And now in 2 Samuel chapter 2, we have David being anointed king of Judah. Now, the reason it refers to it that way as being anointed king of Judah is because, as you look at the bottom of the screen, Ishbosheth is made king of Israel. But anyway, David is anointed king of Judah. And then, verse 8, but Abner, the son of Ner, commander of Saul's army, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul. Okay, so that's who that is. Took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim and made him king over Gilead, over the Asherites, over Jezreel, over Ephraim, Benjamin, over all Israel. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and he reigned 2 years. So this isn't just necessarily a short-term thing. It's not a few days or a few weeks. 2 years, only the house of Judah followed David. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. And then Abner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth, son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim. And I'll tell you right now, this business where Abner does this and brought him over, in verse 8, that's the phrase I was looking for. What that means is they went over Jordan. They went to the other side of the Jordan. And Ishbosheth, or Abner, was behind all this. You might just think about, why would you cross the Jordan and get situated? And then you come back, and then you have, anyway, the battle, the battle of Gibeon, as it speaks about Joab and some with him, and Abner and some with him. There was a battle, and anyway, as things progress, David gets stronger and stronger, and Ishbosheth gets weaker. We'll look at the first few verses of chapter 3, and you see what that mentions. Abner joins David. But for our reading today, we're just going to stop in verse 5. And actually, verse 1 is the one I was saying of. David grew stronger and stronger, but the house of Saul grew weaker and weaker, I should have said. But anyway, let's come back to chapter 2. And just to make a few simple points about Ishbosheth being made king of Israel. One of the points I wanted to make is this, is that transitions are hard. Transitions and change are usually hard. They're not easy. This is a time of great change. And as Saul and as so many of his sons were killed, and as news of that would start going throughout the kingdom, and you have, of course, God has rejected Saul, and he's chosen a man after his own heart, and that would be David. Well, that's God. But now the people are making choices. And Abner was in, and Abner is actually Saul's uncle. So, as you think about that, this is a great time of transition, and transition and change are extremely difficult. Needless to say, I hope you understand that. The second point I wanted to make, though, is that family ties will sometimes lead us astray, and we just need to be careful. it looks like Abner, why would Abner back Ishbosheth? It's because if Abner was Saul's uncle, then you might think about Ishbosheth being his nephew's son and its family. Ishbosheth is Abner's family. Saul was Abner's family, and Abner's family was being rejected. And sometimes family relationships can lead us astray. And so we have to make sure that we keep our head on straight. We have to make sure that we're making good decisions. We'll also say man's wisdom can lead us astray. Because usually when you think about all the different kings of Israel, and it's, well, this king died and his son reigned in his place. This king died and his son reigned in his place. This king died and his son reigned in his place. But when Saul died, his son did not reign in his place. The house of Saul was being rejected. His whole house. And so I wonder if that's one of the reasons that people had trouble following David, at least here at the beginning, because man's wisdom says your son steps up into your place. The son reigns. Not this time. But that's what man's wisdom says. Well, we have to be real careful about following man's wisdom. The third point I wanted to make is that even good people can be wrong. And to read the account of Abner, and you probably saw it in chapter 3 when it talks about Abner joining David. And Abner is going to join David. He's not going to be with him very long because Joab's going to kill him. But David is not pleased about that when Joab kills Abner. And David actually, and I tell you what, let me see if I can spot it real quick. In chapter 3, let's get back over there. In chapter 3, after Abner is killed by Joab, towards the end of the chapter, speaks about David mourning Abner. And he speaks about Abner in this way in verse 38, "Do you not know that a prince and a great man has fallen this day in Israel?" David had a lot of respect for Abner. But Abner had killed Joab's brother, and Joab is going to take revenge. But that's for perhaps tomorrow's study. But for now, I just wanted you to see that as Abner does this, David has a lot of respect for Abner. And that Abner looks like he's a good man from what David says about him later. But even good men can be wrong. Even good men can make the wrong choice. Even good men can back the wrong horse, to use that phrase. And Abner's wrong. He may have been a good man, but he's making the wrong choice. Why is he making the wrong choice? Family's involved. Man's wisdom is involved. He's gonna come to realize that. But it's a time of transition. Transitions aren't easy. It's not easy on Abner. And so we see this happening as you have what looks like civil war for a little bit of time. A little bit of time. And we know what's going to be said later. The sword is never going to depart from David's house. And that's going to be said in the account of Uriah and Bathsheba, and of course, the child who was born. But even here at the beginning, there's a lot of bloodshed. And so it's an interesting account. So I hope it's helpful just to look at that account. Some of these accounts we don't think about too often, so I hope it's helpful for you as we think about applications that we can make to our own lives. Appreciate you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you join us tomorrow for another look into God's Word.